गुड आफ्टरनून। फर्स्ट स्लाइड इज इंटेंशनली ब्लैंक। तो आप में से कितने न्यूक्लियर मेडिसिन के बारे में कुछ भी जानते हैं? सो आई विल बी यूजिंग हिंदी वेरी फ्रिक्वेंटली, सॉरी मैम। आज थोड़ी तबीयत भी मेरी ठीक नहीं है। सो हम स्टार्ट करेंगे व्हाट इज एक्चुअली न्यूक्लियर मेडिसिन। So basically we are using nuclear isotope just to image, and this image is completely functional. We are not looking at the structure of the organ, we are just looking at the functionality of the organ, whatever may be the look. So we'll just go for the second slide. Actually it is the first slide. So it has a long DD. You cannot interpret anything based on the image. So suppose a child underwent a thyroid scan, 12-year boy, we don't know anything, nothing else. You can see only enlarged thyroid gland, diffuse increased uptake, there is no background. So we have lots of DD. It can be Graves' disease, Hashimoto-thyroiditis, iodine deficiency, goiter, it may be recovery of thyroiditis, withdrawal of antithyroid medication, or dysharmogenesis, God knows. Another pattern can be there is no uptake in the thyroid gland and you have salivary glands and everything is there. So there can be another DDs. It can be hypothyroidism, thyroiditis, parenchymal destruction, maybe due to radiotherapy or post-total thyroidectomy, something like that. Just add a little bit history. Now the patient is having hyperthyroidism. So now the DD has become slightly decreased. The Graves or thyroiditis. Again, he had a history of viral fever with anterior neck pain for 1 month. Now the only thing which is most likely is thyroiditis. So the all scan for nuclear medicine purpose, the sensitivity of every nuclear medicine physician may be around 100% even for the FDG, but the specificity depend upon the who is actually looking at that and what is the pretest probability and what are the your hormone functions and everything. So I will be presenting few images only. So we have a radioisotope and we have a pharmaceutical. The radioisotope just give gamma rays which can be imaged, and the all properties depend upon the pharmaceutical you are using. Suppose you are taking DTPA, so DTPA goes outside by the kidney, so you will be imaging with the help of technetium DTPA GFR. You take DMSA just go and stick to the cortical surface of kidney, so you will image technetium DMSA with as a renal cortical agent. Similarly, if you have pertechnetate, so pertechnetate inherently has structure like iodine. So pertechnetate and iodine both share -1 negative charge. Their hydrated molecule size are similar. So when you give pertechnetate, it is going to go inside with the help of sodium iodide importer into the thyroid cells. So you have a radiopharmaceutical now. First, I will come to advantage and disadvantage. There are a lot of disadvantages. Radiation, yes, it is there. Availability, it is not available everywhere, and cost may be very high. We cost PET CT, we charge $150 for PET CT. So in Indian scenario, it is not that high, but in the maybe in the Western world, it is actually very high. But we have some advantages also. It is extremely sensitive and quantitative. You can imagine the follow-up. The isotopes are having very short half-life, short biological as well as effective half-life. So they quickly go outside the body. So the radiation burden is not that much. The doses which are given is in the micrograms, so the side effect and toxicity are very less. You can imagine if you have 10 grams of radioactive iodine, you can ablate whole Lucknow. So the doses we are using are extremely small, and if they are not causing the dysfunction of that particular gland or organ, so if we give FDG to someone, the glucose in the body is maybe around under 100 and 120, we are giving in micrograms. It is not to do any functional changes with the help of that FDG. And these images are completely functional. So first we'll go with the thyroid scan. This is iodide. Every one of you know the sodium iodide importer. So the iodine just go inside with the help of sodium iodide importer, and again you have after that it organify. So iodine organify, and after that giving radioiodine, you can clearly see the whole body distribution of iodine. This is a whole body iodine scan for a malignancy patient. In some centers, the level of surgery is not that well. So even you can see that histopathology report say the total thyroidectomy has been done, and they can clearly see the both lobes. But even on a scan, you can clearly see both lobes are there. So you to again send patient for surgery. Other organs, sodium iodide importer is also present in other organs. So definitely you can see those organs also. But what happens when you use the pertechnetate? Pertechnetate actually has trapping, but body immediately identify that this is something else. It is not going to organify. It will again come outside the body. So if you want to image with the help of thyroid scan, you have to immediately image within 20 minutes, because if we want to image with iodine, then you can image after 4 hours or 24 hours, something like that, or 48 hours. But for pertechnetate, it is only trapped, it is not organified, so it will come outside the body. So pertechnetate, the radiation dose is very less because it emits gamma rays only. But the problem with the iodine 131 is it emits beta radiation also. So the beta radiation is going to destroy the gland if we are giving in larger dose. So it is never given more than 100 microcurie. So it's a sodium pertechnetate is commonly used in Indian scenario. We don't have 123 sodium iodide in the India, and we are not using iodine 134 for the thyroid scan. It is only used for thyroid cancer patients when we are doing whole body radioiodine scan. Sodium pertechnetate is easily available. It only shows the trapping, and rapid test person, it's very cheap. We are costing somewhere around 400 rupees only. So I'm just showing the camera once. The camera is silent. It doesn't make any kind of noise. And the test procedure is hardly 15 minutes after injection. You can take images, and test procedure take 10 minutes. And we take anterior, posterior, oblique images. If required, we can do SPECT CT. SPECT CT is basically utilizing the CT technique three-dimensionally, and again acquiring the SPECT three-dimensionally. So you have three-dimensional images of some organ. Then you can put markers also. And after that, you will have a normal thyroid scan. You can calculate the uptakes and you can derive whatever is that. So basically, you have now the role of thyroid scan is very limited. It is only and only indicated in hyperthyroidism. So there is no role in the cold nodules. Previously, it was very commonly used, and also in hypothyroidism, there is no use of, apart from congenital hypothyroidism, there is no use of thyroid scan. So we can have three pattern, distinct pattern. We can only see the one area is showing the uptake, and rest of the gland is not visualized. Here we can see the both lobes are taking uptake, but there is a cold nodule in the lower pole of the left lobe. And the third one is that we can see the both lobes of the thyroid are having less uptake, but some areas having more uptake. So you have three patterns. One is hot. Hot is suppressing everything. If hyperthyroidism is there, you can make a diagnosis of AFTM. So chances of malignancy are very less in this kind. If it is cold nodule, there is minimal uptake. The chances of malignancy are 15 to 20%. Because of low specificity, it is not being used to rule out malignancy. Only the ultrasound is now being used. And the warm nodule, it is just starting of the AFTM. So what you will do for the cold nodule? The cold nodule, the ultrasound is being indicated. Every one of you is aware of the thyroid score. You have to just see the whether it is solid, it is hypoechoic, it is taller, or extrathyroidal extension is there. As the score increases, and even the 5 mm nodule with the thyroid 5 is indication for the FNAC biopsy. So what kind of pattern we can see on the thyroid scan? Basically in children, mostly we see the thyroiditis and Graves' disease. These kind of patterns are usually seen more in the adults. So this is the only you can see the gland, and there is pyramidal lobe. The second is both lobes are enlarged and there are multiple cold areas there. And in third image, you can see that there is areas enlarged and you cannot see the opposite lobe. There is suppression of the next of lobe. And here you can see that the both glands are clearly visualized, but one area is taking uptake, rest of the gland is being suppressed. So there are 4 distinct pattern of thyroid scan upon which you decide what could be the possible diagnosis. So these are the 4 possible diagnoses which you can easily differentiate based on the thyroid scan. These are very important when you are trying to treat this with radioiodine, because your dose depend upon the what kind of disease actually the patient is having. For Graves' disease, the dose is entirely different, and for the AFTN and toxic MNG, the doses are entirely different. In congenital hypothyroidism, we can have several things. The scan may be helpful in few of them. So there could be iodine deficiency, there may be thyroid dysgenesis, ectopia, hyperplasia, genesis, there may be defect dyshomogenesis. It could be due to hypothalamic hypopituitary, that may be transient, but the scan is entirely different in all of them. So in the first case, you can clearly see there is no thyroid is visualized. No salivary gland is also visualized. So there is agenesis, maybe with the sodium iodine itself is the deficit. There is only one lobe, it is hemiagenesis. And you can have multiple kind of ectopic. So ectopic can be present in lingual, sublingual, mental, even in the thymic regions. So the native gland will not be there, and you will be finding thyroid tissue elsewhere. You can do SPECT CT. SPECT CT is available with almost all machines. You can easily do the SPECT CT and you can easily make out diagnosis. The gland is having very minimal uptake, so it could be seen in the transient kind of pictures. And if there is intense uptake on the iodine scan, this is actually iodine scan. There is intense uptake on the iodine scan, and the percolate discharge test is positive. This is most likely due to dyshomogenesis. So we are going to the parathyroid imaging. I personally have not seen many patients of parathyroid in children, but I will just give a little bit brief how we do it actually. So first the perfusion is done with the help of MEB. When you do a perfusion, you can clearly see the thyroid gland is appearing. It show increased uptake within the 10-15 minutes. And after that, we will take an image at the 15 minute. There will be anterior image of the 15 minute. And here you can see that both lobes of the thyroid very clearly visualized. And the property of the MEB is that it will be washed out from the thyroid gland, but it will retain in the parathyroid glands. So if there is parathyroid is present, fortunately in the 70% patients, when there is classical scan is there, then there will be retention of the tracer in the parathyroid gland, but there will be washout from the thyroid gland. So in the LET image, what you can see that thyroid is showing washout. So this is a normal pattern, which you can see in everyone. But what will happen when someone is abnormal? So there is perfusion. You are having early image. There is some bulge over here. It is almost showing equal uptake that of the thyroid gland. But when you take a delayed image, there will be a continuous washout. And at the end of the 1.5 to 2 hours of image, you will see that there is a distinct uptake of parathyroid gland. If you have a SPECT CT, then you can easily do SPECT CT for that. As we are looking into the 15-20 years of the nuclear medicine, previously the patient with the parathyroid were coming with palpable glands. Now they are coming with just the race level of PTG with normal ultrasound. So the sensitivity of even the parathyroid scan is decreasing from 92. It has become almost 60-65% in those patients who are having ultrasound negativity and only the just mildly raised parathyroid levels. So in those kind of patients, you have also have subtraction images. So you have early images and then you have particulate images. What you will do, just you will delete this early image with the particulate image. The computer will easily do with this thing. And the end of the subtraction image, you will have a parathyroid scan. If you are fortunate enough, you will find this kind of pattern in 70% of the patients. But in the 30% of patients, it will be really difficult to find the parathyroid. So this is the simplest one. We have done the maybe early image. There is some more uptake on the left side in comparison to the right side. But in the delayed image, everything become obvious. The left side is showing distinctly more uptake in comparison to right lobe, which is showing the washout. You are doing a particulate scan, so you are showing a reverse pattern. The right lobe was more and the left is less. When you do a subtraction, you can clearly see there is a retention of the tracer in the region of somewhere around the left lobe. You have a SPECT CT. You can clearly see there is an intense uptake in the region posterior to the left of thyroid, and your CT is also of good quality. Then you can clearly see the lesion. But all scans are not like that. Here you have a significant asymmetric uptake on the right lobe of thyroid, and the left lobe thyroid is small and showing mild uptake. There is complete washout from the thyroid gland. There is a uptake lower side, but the particulate is also showing there is asymmetric uptake on the right side. So this was having thyroid adenoma in the right lobe along with the parathyroid adenoma, which was in paratracheal location ectopic. You have a SPECT CT, then you can easily do. So here we can see an area of increased uptake in the neck on the right side, no uptake in the thyroid gland. Again, in the delayed image at 3 hours, there is near complete washout even in the parathyroid glands. So this can happen when the histopathological variants are there, which has tendency to not take maybe in the delayed images. And even on the particulate images, there was no thyroid gland. So this must probably the hypothyroid patient, and it was ectopic actually. Some very difficult pattern, especially in case of CKD patients. In the maybe early images, you are looking at a thyroid gland which has 4 distinct areas of uptake. But in the delayed image, all areas uptake remain the same. So this was maybe multiple parathyroid adenoma or the hyperplasia of all 4 glands. So the role of nuclear medicine is more in case of ectopic locations because the ultrasound sometimes may fail to look at that. So ectopic location may be present allwhere from the high cervical region to the anterior mediastinum. And it is very easy to see on the spectroscopy. Planar may create lot of problem. In this patient, what you can see, there is normal uptake in the thyroid and normal washout in the delayed images. There is mild asymmetric uptake in the region of left submandibular gland, and there is a persistent uptake in the left submandibular gland. When you do the spectroscopy, you can clearly see just below the left mandibular gland, there is an area of abnormal persistent uptake, which is actually your ectopic parathyroid. So sometime you may even see the calcified lesion in the thyroid gland itself. This is present almost in 4 to 5% of the patients. Ectopic glands are very common, especially in our SGPGI setup, because our adult colleagues are dealing with that. So it can be paraesophageal, paratracheal, and even you may find it intrathymic and in the mediastinum. So this become very common when you are searching for something which is not in the neck. What if you have maybe negative hyperparathyroidism? Then we have C11 choline in our hand. We are fortunate enough to have a cyclotron in our hand so that we can easily do the imaging, and we are using in those patients only. So it is more sensitive because PET-CT itself is more sensitive. It has a higher resolution and the uptake of C11 is very high and it doesn't show any uptake in the thyroid gland. So you can clearly see this patient was typical maybe image negative, and this is C11 choline PET-CT. Bone imaging, we are not getting almost any patients for the bone scan from the pediatric endocrinology department because the indication has become less and less. We are getting patients for the malignancy, but we are not getting for that. But the most important thing, if someone want to do that, the important thing is that you have to understand that there is a physiological uptake in the growing epiphyseal plates, and you should be able to pick up that physiological and pathological uptakes are entirely different. So you must be aware of that the physiological uptake in different child ages. So there are atlases are over there, but unfortunately atlases are made 20-30 years back, and now the bone age, I don't know why it is changing, but the age is entirely different now. So the fusion and everything occur much early. So if you are imaging for the osteomyelitis or something like that, then you have to clearly see whether it is physiological or pathological. But now we do have specialty, so it is much easier. So for non-malignant, it can be done for infection, trauma, growth and metabolic disorder, vascular disorder, and arthritis. So we are regularly getting the arthritis and infection from the outside mostly. So osteomyelitis, early osteomyelitis, we are using it. And it is one of the very common indication, especially in sports injury for the kids. You can clearly see that in both femur, there are longitudinal uptakes, and in tibia and fibula, there are multiple uptakes. So these are shin splints and stress fracture, which are not easily picked up even on X-rays, even on the MRI. Being bone scan being a whole body modality, so you can easily see everything on the bone scan. In the metabolic disease, I have not seen any super scan in any kid, but this is very popular super scan, so I have just put it over here. So the bone scan, super scan is just a thing when you are unable to see the kidneys because the everything uptake is being taken up by the bones. So it can be seen in many of the metabolic diseases, ranging from the hyperparathyroidism to the CKD. And osteomalacia, you can see multiple fractures, pseudo fractures. So I have even not seen any kid with osteomalacia. But Paget's disease and fibrous dysplasias. So it can be used in fibrous dysplasia just to see the whether there are multiple lesions or solitary involvement. And even in the follow-up of the fibrous dysplasia, this can be done. Then congenital hyperinsulinism. For congenital hyperinsulinism, previously we had only one agent, DOPA. So the DOPA was not very sensitive. The problem with the DOPA was that it was having mild diffuse uptake in the entire pancreas. So the now gradually most of the centers have replaced the DOPA. I would like to show you some images of the DOPA. So this is the coronal image, fused PET CT, sorry. So there is a diffuse uptake in the entire pancreas. You cannot make it whether the lesion is in the body tail or somewhere here. There are two distinct foci in the second patient in the DOPA. So it is really very difficult to make which one is physiological, which one is pathological. This is the axial and there is tail. This is body of the pancreas. There are two focus. One of them showing is more uptake and another is showing less uptake. And this is the DOPA 4 child, which is showing diffuse increase with focal uptake in the region of the head. But we have now one tracer, which is actually glucagon-like peptide 1 receptor. Exendine, it is extremely sensitive. And what it does, it is very, very sensitive and it does not pick up physiological uptake that avid, which is DOPA was picking up. So the same child, if we compare the Exendine scan, here you can see that the physiological uptake is much less and there is a lesion in the head of pancreas. The same thing is again in the head of pancreas and here in the tail of pancreas. Here you can clearly see that in the body, the uptake is much less. And then the DOPA, you can see that there is hardly in this case, there is no big difference, but the uptake is more. So this will be very, very helpful in some patients. We have gallium. We can ask for Exendine at any time. A few centers in India are regularly doing Exendine now. Thank you very much.